to the business of you, our people, our residents, our businesses. With that, I'll open it up to public comment on proposed agenda items only. Mr. Little, if you would grab this, if there's anybody that signed in. We'll go over on the list of the folks that signed in first, and then we'll open it up to anybody else that would like to address council.
Just the top sheet.
Anybody else on that sheet? Ralph, I know we talked earlier. Do you want to talk about any of the agenda items, or do you want to wait to the very end? Okay. Dan Alexander, if you would, please.
Dan Alexander, resident of Monroeville.
Welcome, Dan.
I'm here actually for two things. I'll go out of order like I wanted to. First of all, because of what you just said. And one of the things I want to touch on is hiring of new investigators to investigate the investigators. Honestly, I think that's a waste. I mean, because no matter what they say, you hired them. The other previous council hired the other one. So it's always going to be a he said, she said. And no matter what the other ones say, well, yeah, they're doing your bidding. Just like, well, they were doing their bidding. You know, they were friends of such and such and that. So it's, to me, it's a waste of $10,000. I think right now, the HIPAA violation says that, you know, there was no privacy leaks. You know, we spent all this money now. At this point, just enough. Enough's enough. You just got to walk away, because you're never going to ever settle it in anybody's mind, you know. They're going to say one thing, you're going to say the other. Somewhere's the truth in the middle, but, you know, it's just, you keep throwing good money after bad. So at this point, I think it should just be done and settled and over with. Let's move on. We got a lot of other issues. And trust me, I went to my first Recreation and Parks meeting, and we know a good place to spend an extra $10,000 right there. So, I mean, if you want to funnel it that way.
Good point, Dan.
So, also, in regards to the, I just lost the thing. The, oh, shoot, help me out here. The moving from 5 to 3.
Oh, on the zoning hearing.
Zoning, thank you. I could do a lot. Anyhow, on the zoning thing, I think you should still keep it at 5. Okay, there's a lot of talk, not just among the regular crowd that always talks, but about people saying they're worried about, you know, you have 3 people, then, you know, you're losing some of your checks and balances. If one person gets sick, then it's just getting decided by 2 people, and that's it. I understand the cost cutting, the $3,600. I understand too that it's not personal, like some people are trying to say. The cost cutting issue, saving $3,600. Believe me, I'm all for that. I think it's a great idea. But instead of just cutting 2 positions at $150 a piece, okay, keep the 5 positions, knock them down to $50. I mean, it's a volunteer position. I understand you got to keep people on the zoning board, so you got to give them a little bit of an incentive to do it. $50, I mean, half the time they're not even, don't have to show up anyhow. So $50 a month for that would be fine. That would save you $500, and instead of $3,600, you're saving $6,000. And you're still keeping your 5 people, so it's a win-win for everybody. So just something to think about before you guys vote tonight. So
Thank you, Dan. There was nobody else on the list. Obviously, Ralph will get to you afterwards. Anybody else like, please? Please sign in, state your name for the record that you live in Monroeville.
Good evening. My name is John Yakum. I do live in Monroeville. Mr. Mayor, members of council, Manager Little, Solicitor Dice, good evening to all of you. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to address you in council this evening. I have several questions regarding the ordinance hiring CSI investigations and the Pennsylvania Sunshine Laws. We were told last week that the story in the Post-Gazette by John Silver regarding the hiring of CSI Pittsburgh was created news or manufactured news. I'm trying to understand the facts. Usually I've found Mr. Silver's stories to be quite accurate. Mayor Arasenko, can you tell me if council met prior to last week's meeting to discuss the hiring of yet a second private investigator?
I was in the hospital.
You don't know if they met before you were in the hospital?
Not to my knowledge. I was in the hospital, so I can't answer. any of that.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, last week, Councilwoman Gatos said, "We spend a lot of time discussing, debating all issues prior to making decisions. It is not necessary to sit here and argue amongst ourselves in front of you, the residents." Mr. Mayor, you and the 4 new council members ran on a new kind of council, an openness, more transparency. Do you think having closed-door meetings where serious issues are discussed and debated is in the spirit of an open and transparent government? That was directed to you, Mr. Mayor.
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, can you or Manager Little tell me if any employees have been ordered to cooperate with CSI Pittsburgh prior to the voting on tonight's ordinance?
Continue.
Were there any orders given in written or verbal form where an employee was required to testify prior to the passage of this ordinance?
Continue.
If there has been, is it appropriate since the ordinance has yet to be passed?
Continue, John.
Mr. Mayor, I realize the fire departments are independent entities from the municipality, but it's my understanding that there was some question as to their cooperation during the daily investigation. Can you or Manager Little tell me if any firefighters have been asked or ordered to cooperate with CSI Pittsburgh?
Continue, sir.
If so, is it appropriate for CSI to be interviewing these people since no ordinance has passed authorizing activity?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, can you or Manager Little tell me if any employees have had their jobs threatened if they do not cooperate with CSI Pittsburgh investigation?
Continue, John.
Mr. Silver's story of April 3rd, in Mr. Silver's story of April 3rd, Mr. Silver stated that Interim Manager Timothy Little on Wednesday confirmed the existence of a broad and comprehensive investigation that will address, among other issues, recent personnel upheaval that involved his predecessor, the current police chief, and several 911 dispatchers who were fired. Mr. Mayor, last week, our solicitor suggested that newspapers now create the news. Mr. Mayor, can you or Manager Little tell me if that statement in the paper attributed to Mr. Little is true, or was it created by Mr. Silver?
Continue.
Also within Mr. Silver's story, Mr. Silver stated, Mr. Little was evasive when asked in what forum council made the decision to retain CSI. Despite the fact that the firm has been working for several weeks, Mr. Little said the actual ratification of its hiring will occur Tuesday at a council meeting. Mr. Mayor, could you or Manager Little tell me if the portion of the paragraph referring to the new investigator that states has been working for several weeks is a true or created statement?
Continue, John.
Again, within Mr. Silver's story, he writes, Councilwoman Linda Gatos said the hiring decision was made in an executive session. This would have been prior to last week's executive session. Mr. Mayor, could you or Councilwoman Gatos tell me if this statement is true or created?
Continue, John.
Mr. Mayor, can you or Manager Little tell me if the municipality has done work with CSI?
Continue, John.
Can you tell me if any employees within the municipality have a personal relationship with CSI or any of its principals?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, there are several lawsuits involving Monroeville as a defendant or Monroeville's former elected officials and employees as defendants, which the municipality or the municipality's insurance company could be forced to defend or litigate and possibly pay out. How does the CSI investigation affect those lawsuits?
Continue, John.
Will any of the plaintiffs have access to the investigation?
Continue, John.
Does the municipality's insurance company know that this investigation has commenced without an ordinance having been passed?
Continue.
And one final question, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, will the results of this investigation be made public?
Continue.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dice?
May I make a comment?
The appropriate time is in your report. Once again, I'll leave it open to any residents sitting here. This is your time to address council, if you would, please. How are you, sir?
Good, you?
Good.
Feeling
Please
better?
sign in? Oh, yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
My name is Patrick Monahan. I am a resident of Monroeville. I would agree with Mr. Alexander. I don't think that reducing this zoning board from 5 to 3 is a good idea at all. I do believe that if you really wanted to save money, you'd stop paying all of them. Ask for volunteers. People may or may not do their civic duty, but I
Where
think...
were you when they were spending money before?
Tom,
Nobody was here saying stop spending.
Tom. Let the resident talk. Okay, I'm sorry, sir.
The previous council didn't increase taxes nearly double in the first 2 months of your term, sir.
Maybe it's time for you to move.
Moving on to the investigation, I also agree with Mr. Alexander that it's going to be a he said, she said. It's never, we're not going to believe you. You chose not to believe the Daily Report. That's the way it is. I submit that the credibility for this investigation is already shot because of what happened before it even started. And I don't know CSI. I don't know anything about them. However, because you guys violated the Sunshine Act by taking official action without public comment or a vote. The fact that they already started their investigation, to me, is an official action. So therefore, this is already not a good thing. I think it's going to be a waste of money unless you have other reasons for doing so. I don't believe this is going to solve anything. HHS determined that there was no violation, which was a good thing because I'm sure their fine was going to be a lot more than anyone else's. However, there were privacy breaches.
It's not what the letter says, sir.
Yes, sir, it does. The letter from HHS specifically says that there were privacy breaches that were addressed by the municipality. I think it's the second to last paragraph the letter states that.
You need to reread that.
I will, thank you. But that's what I got. I'll reserve my other comments for later. Thanks.
Very good. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I will open it up to any residents who would like to address on the proposed agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll close that portion of our meeting, and we'll move over to approval of our minutes and council on the public budget work session of February 6th, 2014, the council public budget hearing of March 6, 2014, Citizens Night meeting of March 6, 2014, and the council work session of March 6, 2014. Any other corrections or additions? Seeing none, is there a motion on?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving over to our reports of our tax collections. Once again, council, is there any additions or corrections to our reports of our tax collections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving over our list of bills, we'll go to the payroll report. Any additions or corrections on our payroll report? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. On our list of bills, we'll move over. We'll start off with you, Linda, if you would, please.
Nothing. I have nothing.
Dr. Griesbach?
No questions, Mayor.
Ron?
Nothing.
Jim?
Nothing, sir.
Paul?
No questions, Mayor.
Steve?
No questions.
No
And
questions.
motion on the floor.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, and there were no budget transfers. We'll move over to our vacancies on our boards, commissions, and authorities. So, council, any nominations or appointments? Seeing none, we'll move over to our bids and proposals. So, Mr. Little, if you would.
Okay, the item number one under the bids and proposal is for a traffic signal near Value City Chuck E. Cheese. It's, so we need a motion to approve the traffic signal for Route 22 and Value City Chuck E. Cheese Traffic Signal Project 14-01TS to Traffic Systems and Services of 4125 Campbell's Run Road, Crafton, PA, for the amount of $229,550.85.
Motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I have a comment, Mayor. I just found
Please.
it interesting, actually. I was talking to Mr. Hugus earlier, and this company came in about $30,000 cheaper than the next person. They competitively bid this, and it's a good thing for Monroeville. And what I also found interesting, Paul, maybe you could explain it better as far as how we get to see them along the whole way as far as...
Yeah, absolutely. What happens, especially with traffic signals, once the contractor signs the contract, he has to submit all the material list to us. So we have to approve everything, every component that goes into the signal. We have to approve before he purchases it from the vendors. So it isn't like he's going to use any substandard materials because we have to approve it before it gets put in and inspect it when it's completed.
Yeah, and I just thought that was interesting for people to know.
So there's a lot of control over how it is installed.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments on this item before you, council? There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Little, if you would.
Okay, item number two is the 2014 commodity bids. Now, this is rather lengthy, and council has each low bid, either, well, there is an aggregate total, but when the Public Works Department does call and get a riser for a stormwater, it's done by unit price. Now, I think it would be very, very time-consuming to go through each one, so council has each one in the 2014 commodity bid summary in front of them, and I think you should pass a motion. You've had since Thursday to look at it. Staff has gone through it, and so if we could just have one motion to approve all of the commodity bids on the summary sheet.
Let's go this route. Is there a motion on the floor?
There is, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments on any of these items before you? I know you've had time to review them. I would assume you probably addressed some of that on Thursday, so. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And we'll go over to the new business and.
Okay.
Might be the appropriate time to talk about it.
Okay, item number one is the motion, which is not an ordinance, a motion to hire CSI Corporate Security and Investigations and to address Mr. Yakim's questions. What I'll do is I'll address the administrative part, the legislative part the mayor can address, and the legal part the solicitor can address. First of all, as far as an administration, it is totally my responsibility, John, to have things on the agenda and to have them approved in an appropriate time. It's not council's responsibility, it's not Bruce Dice's responsibility, it's my responsibility to this council. Now, let me walk the public through exactly the events, okay? Now, what happened was council did meet in executive session 2 times to discuss this issue and to make not a decision. Decision is the wrong word because, as we all know, a decision cannot be made in an executive session. All right, they discussed it and they decided to move ahead with it. And they gave me the responsibility to move ahead with it with CSI. Now, I got a proposal. I don't want to call it an agreement, and I'll let Mr. Dice say whether or not it's an agreement. It's a proposal from CSI. What I was doing right around the time of the March meeting was I was looking and talking with CSI about the scope of services for this project. Now, what days I was exactly talking about the scope of services with CSI, I can't honestly say. Now, should this have been put on the March agenda for approval? Probably. Probably it should have, and it wasn't. But I do not believe that this is a violation of the Sunshine Law. Now, was everything done like you should do it? Maybe not, but it's going to be ratified tonight, which means there's no violation of the Sunshine Law. Now, I told Mr. Bellissimo from CSI to move ahead with the project. Okay, now, he started his investigation right around the time of the meeting in March. And what day specifically, I don't know. All right, so that's the events that occurred, and there's nothing wrong with ratifying a project. And I'll use the word project moving ahead at a meeting. You can hire, for instance, an attorney for a special project for some kind of special legal project, and you can discuss the scope of services, and you can have that person moving ahead with it, and you can ratify it at the following meeting. Now, would you ideally like to ratify it to pass it at the meeting after you discuss it? Yeah, but my role in this was to discuss the scope of services with CSI. And I did that, and there were some things that had to be worked out there. So if you have any other questions, if I did not answer all your questions from an administrative end, you can ask me more questions if you want. But from a legislative end, for the intent of doing the project or the legal aspect of it, I'll leave that up to the mayor and Mr. Dice respectively.
Well, I'm going to pick it up a little bit here, Bruce, if you would. The reason why I'm very much in favor of this resolution is that the John Daly report that was completed was done very inappropriately, and let me give you some facts. Every individual that was interviewed was not asked to sign and date their statements. Not one. There were a lot of individuals that were supposed to be interviewed, did not get interviewed. Each of those employees are now recanting every statement Mr. Daly put in that report. In other words, we spent $14,578 for a worthless piece of paper. Does this have far-reaching effect on what CSI is going to do? It certainly could, and it should. You have to remember the lives that were destroyed almost. 3 down at dispatch, Chief Cole, their families, every resident in Monroeville, every business in Monroeville. So do I feel that it's appropriate? You better believe I do. Do I want to spend any more taxpayer money on any of this foolishness? No. But there are a lot of things that happened that need corrected. If you remember, all 4 new council, as well as I, as your mayor running again, said we will get to the bottom of it, clean it up, and straighten it out. And that's exactly what we're doing. And the sad reality is, it still costs money to get it done. I'm not happy about it. But you have to remember, you dictated to all of us sitting up here, you wanted that cleaned up. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Mr. Dice, I don't know if legally, if there's anything you would like to address?
Is there a motion on the floor?
No, I haven't read it yet.
Let's get a motion in a second.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
I was going to read it.
Oh, we're good. I thought you did. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, a motion to hire CSI Corporate Security and Investigations Risk Management, Pennsylvania Western District to provide investigative services relative to the accuracy and content of the daily report not to exceed $10,000.
Motion
moved.
on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dice, would you like to address that?
I have nothing else to say. I think you guys said it well.
All right, any other questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Little, if you would.
Item number 2 is a motion to accept Beth Fishman's resignation from the Human Needs and Resources Advisory Board.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And there's a second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Little, if you would.
Item number 3, a motion to place a quarter-page advertisement in the ad book media guide for the Gateway Baseball Boosters.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4 is a motion to hire,
Go ahead. You're a little quicker than me. That's okay.
okay, a motion to hire Campbell, Durant, Beatty, Palumbo, and Miller, P.C., in an advisory capacity with police contract negotiations not to exceed $10,000.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Dice, if you would.
Yes, the first ordinance is an ordinance amending ordinance number 1667, restructuring the membership of the zoning hearing board from 5 members to 3 members for economic reasons.
Motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I have something else to add, actually. I could say this now or say it later, but and Mr. Dice maybe could help me out with this. I want to ask council to consider for next month to advertise an ordinance to restructure the way the zoning hearing board is paid. If we approve the 3-membership board, to restructure it so those members are only paid on months when they have a meeting. Currently, they're paid regardless if they have a meeting or not. If there's a way we could restructure that, I don't know if we get into the specifics now, or if we just ask the consent of council to look into this, advertise this for next month, to discuss it next month.
Second that.
Okay. Did you make a motion? I was talking to the mayor. You just made a statement.
It was more of a statement.
Okay.
I could,
Okay.
Well, that'll be addressed, that we couldn't
Yeah.
put that on the agenda anyway.
No,
so-
I think, though, what Councilman Griesach is indicating is that he wants to take another step in the restructuring of the zoning hearing board to, I think, indicate that when they have meetings, they're paid a certain stipend for that night.
right, because the payment, let's say the pay ordinance is not tied to this ordinance. It's a separate
Right,
ordinance.
it's a separate ordinance. It doesn't have anything to do with this.
And what, we can discuss this at length next month, but what I was maybe thinking is that, like currently, let's say somebody comes on the board January 1st, that's when they start. They get paid in January, then they get paid February, and so on and so forth. But perhaps maybe we stagger that payment, so they come on in January, their January payment isn't until February. So if they have a meeting in January, they would get paid. If they did not have a meeting in January, they would not get that February paycheck. And then that would move on till their term ended. And then when they finished in December of one year, if they had a meeting in December, they actually would get paid in January for that.
Okay,
So
and would you want to pay them do you know what sum you want to pay for that one meeting?
maybe leave that up to discussion with council at the next month's meeting,
Okay, but I think
or when we draft the ordinance.
the way, yeah, well, the problem would be, I think we could draft the ordinance and just leave the amount blank and fill it in whenever it is that you decide to pass it. But I think what's in order then, notwithstanding the fact that there's a motion and a second on the floor right now, when this is voted upon, when you vote on this restructuring, Nick, my suggestion would be to introduce a motion following that to instruct the solicitor and manager to go forward and draft an ordinance to do what you just suggested and advertise it.
Very well.
So why don't we vote on the motion you have on the floor, and then I'll give you the instruction on that.
Okay, there was a motion and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Dice, if you would.
Okay. Now it's appropriate, Nick, to make the motion to instruct the solicitor and manager to restructure the pay for the zoning hearing board to be done on the basis of meetings served, and the pay will be left blank for council to fill in maybe the night of the meeting. Presently, what is it, 150?
150 a month, yes.
You may want to do something with that number, but we'll get it advertised if this motion passes. So it's a motion to prepare an ordinance and advertise the ordinance affecting and restructuring pay for the zoning hearing board, much like Nick has already suggested.
So I will,
Is there a motion?
so I will make that motion, and I won't repeat all of that, because I think Mr. Dice did a fine job of explaining all of that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Moving on, Mr. Dice.
Okay, second ordinance is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2497, the benefits of Monroeville exempt and non-exempt employees.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Dice.
Yeah, as I think about this, and some of you have whispered to me now, what do we do about the filling of the vacancies, or filling of the restructuring the zoning hearing board? You will see under resolutions, and it might be appropriate to do this now as opposed to later, there's a resolution appointing members to the restructured Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board. That's the very first resolution. So if you turn to that resolution, Section 1, 2, and 3 need names filled in. So why don't we take that up now, since, you know, it's hot on the passage of the restructuring ordinance that you've already passed. So a motion would be in order to pass the resolution appointing various members, and there's 3 spots. So the motion should read, a motion to approve the resolution and give me the names to fill into the 3 spots.
So moved.
I'd like to give a name if that's possible.
Okay, go
Well, we
ahead.
have a motion, but let's get a second.
Second.
All in favor of approving the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
All right.
please.
Now you need to fill the 3 spots.
Well, I'd like to appoint Robert Bell for the 3-year term.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd also have one, Mayor.
Please.
I would like to appoint Richard Tieran from the 4th Ward for the 1-year term ending December 31st, 2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One more, council.
I'd like to appoint Bob Stevenson from Cottage Lane in the 3rd Ward.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Now, am I right, Mr. Little? We received letters from these individuals, is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And just for the listening audience and those sitting here, as each of the terms come due, the 1-year, the 2-year, the 3-year, council at that time will have to reappoint for 5-year,
No, 3 years.
3-year term, I'm sorry, 3-year terms. Thank you for
So,
that.
so next year, Mr. Tiernan, who serves the balance of this year, his appointment will be up come January 1st, 2015. And if you were to reappoint him, he would be appointed to a 3-year term,
And so on.
and so on.
Council clear on that?
Yes.
Okay, let's move over to number 3 on the ordinance there, Mr. Dice.
Yes, the third ordinance is an ordinance appointing Timothy J. Little as manager of the municipality of Monroeville and establish a compensation and benefits package pursuant to Section 701 of the Home Rule Charter.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to
moved.
approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Dice.
The last ordinance is an ordinance establishing the compensation and personal benefits for Chief of Police Kenneth D. Cole.
Ron? You wanted to call an executive session?
Yes, I'd like to call an executive session on that before we vote on it.
So a motion's in order to go into executive session to discuss the working conditions and compensation of the Chief of Police.
Is there a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us. We will have to go into executive session on this one item. I promise we'll get back as soon as we can. And we're back in session. Is there a motion to come out of an executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And did you,
Yes.
and you did read it, and I do not recall. Sharon, did we have a motion and a second on that? Okay. There's a motion and a second on the ordinance.
There's a motion due.
Motion due, rather, I'm sorry.
On number 4, that's the ordinance establishing compensation and personal benefits of the chief. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions and comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have
Aye.
it. Ron?
6-1?
Aye. I don't know what to say.
All right. 7-0.
Okay.
And now we're going to move down to the
Second resolution.
second resolution on C. Mr. Little, if you would.
Okay, C, number 2, we have already passed, council has already passed resolution, item number 1. Item 2 and 3 are the distribution of funds for the Independence festivities and also the Memorial Day Parade. And we have a resolution of the municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, distribution of grant funds for the Monroeville Independence festivities, which is for the July 4th parade and fireworks, and that amount is for $20,000. And we do get $10,000 from the Conventions Visitors Bureau, so, and they give that to us. And so it's $20,000 in total, but the municipality puts in $10,000. Motion.
Wait a minute, just clarification, shouldn't that still read 10,000, Mr. Dice, since we are getting, or should we leave it at the 20, your opinion?
Well, how much is being put out?
Actually, well, it's 10,000 our end and 10,000 from the convention center.
Okay, well, then, let's just make sure it says that. It says both.
Okay,
I can do that.
so you want to maybe redo that?
We can redo that where it says now, therefore be it resolved by council of the municipality of Monroeville on the 8th day of April, 2014, that it agrees to release $10,000 from the municipality and $10,000 from the Conventions Visitors Bureau for the purpose described in the grant application.
Motion on the floor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the number 3.
Okay, the second one is for the distribution of monies for Memorial Day, a resolution authorizing the distribution of grant funds for the Memorial Day Parade, and that is in the amount of $3,200.
Motion on the floor?
Motion.
To approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Little. And now we're going to move over to reports of our municipal staff. Bruce, anything for us?
No.
Tim, anything for us?
Yes, I have one item, just to let council know, the 2013 audit has been completed by Hozak Inspect, and just as a comment, we will be receiving that audit probably within the next month, but the audit went a lot smoother than I had anticipated, and I just want to commend the staff on that, everybody that worked in getting information for Hozak Inspect. And we'll be getting that in about a month, and then the council will have the opportunity to review it, and I'll have Representative Peter Van Cherry from Hozak Inspect here to go over the audit.
Questions or comments for Mr. Little on that item? Seeing none, Paul, they have you down now. Any
Nope.
words of wisdom?
No comment.
Okay. And now we'll open up for public comments on any municipal item. It is your turn. Once again, please sign in and state your...
time?
Yes, please.
Okay, again, my name is still John Yakum. And, Mr. Mayor, again, I want to thank you for letting me speak and addressing council this evening, members of council, Mr. Little, and Solicitor Dice. Mr. Mayor, I have several questions for you this evening again. I know I've asked many questions in the past, and rarely do I get a response, but I'm optimistic today. It is wonderful that the municipality escaped sanctions from HHS regarding the HIPAA complaint. I want to applaud the previous council and Manager McKinney for bringing in special counsel to handle this issue. I also want to applaud Solicitor Dice for supporting that decision at the time. During the time of the daily investigation, Mr. Mayor, many residents came forward and asked to be able to see the daily report. And on more than one occasion, you promised that you would release the report. And on one occasion, I'll quote you, even if I have to make copies myself. You seem to imply there were no national secrets within the report and that the report most certainly should be released. Mr. Mayor, besides the press ostensibly having the report, phiprivacy.net has both Chief Cole and Chief Pasquarella's comments available online, and a Facebook page has been posting portions of the report. However, after talking to several residents, many of us feel that we should be able to see an official report. Mr. Mayor, the report certainly could have employee information redacted as permitted by the PA open record rules. The taxpayers paid for this report. Both newspapers, the Attorney General's office, and HHS all suggested that even though no HIPAA violation occurred, privacy issues did occur and unauthorized individuals had access to information. Mr. Mayor, I urge you to be a man of your word and release the complete daily report. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, sir. Once again, I'll open it up to any resident who would like to address council on any municipal issue. Please state your name and sign in, and that you live in Monroeville.
Ralph Greco, and I live in Monroeville.
Welcome, Ralph.
Okay. Dr. Grigshaw, I want to thank you for taking the mayor's place. You did a nice job.
Thank you.
I did hear a little crackle in your voice.
More
It's a hot
than
seat.
his.
Well, wait a while, I can't do that. Not mine.
I'd rather be down here.
The thing that I'd like to address, and I don't know if I'm going to do this properly or not because I'm not used to it, is that I understand that we have had 49 policemen, and now we're down to 41 because some of them retired. And I just really think that we need to go back to the 49 policemen to help curb some of the drug problems and everything that we have going on. And it's not that this area has any bigger problems than anywhere else. It's just that if you don't have the policemen out there being able to watch after some of this stuff, they can't do the job.
I think I'll allow Mr. Little to respond after you're done. I think you'll like what the news is going to be on that issue.
I'm really pleased that Doug Cole's back because the man has done a fine job. And in another sense, here we go, and we want to spend all this money for the library and increase everybody's taxes for somewhere between $130 to $150 per house. I just wonder if wouldn't this money be better served in the police department so that we can have the best protection that we can? Because I don't see how they can do it if they're short that many people. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just equate the police department with the library, and I say to myself, well, what's more important? If the drug dealers know that they're actively pursuing them in this area, they're going to stay away from it. And what do we have? We have one detective right now?
Yes, but that's, again, I'll allow Mr. Little to respond to that after your report.
Okay. And we also have to remember that every time a policeman goes into court, he's not on duty. Am I correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
So that makes you even more short. And believe me, the police are doing the best job they possibly can right now. They're quick. You call them, they're there. You have to live in a place that doesn't have that to realize how it stops crime from going on when you have a good police department.
We got a good one, Ralph.
Yeah. But you also have to have enough manpower.
Like I said, we'll have some news and we'll make some announcements on it, since you brought this up.
And as far as council goes, I get a little tired of hearing people coming up here and end up making lawsuits and everything else, so it costs us so much more money. It's so nice to see a council that's not arguing about every little thing. If they want to go in the back room and discuss it, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. At least get it ironed out to the point that they are somewhat on an agreement. There's nobody up here that can't say no or yes.
That's a fact.
I guess that's about all I want to say, but I really appreciate the council that we have now. And Mr. Little and Mr. Dice, and Joe Sedlak and Paul Hugus. And I really like Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
have $10 for you, Rob.
You want me to address his questions?
Well, that's your report.
Well,
Well,
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay.
going to allow
Public's
you,
done. Okay.
yeah, when public's done. Richard?
It says, "Don't touch the microphone." Can I bring it down so that I
Sure.
can enunciate? Thank you.
I think it's the front end.
Okay. I was here about 5 or 6 months ago.
Well, who are you, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Rich LaPiccolo, Monroeville. I was here about, 5, 6, 7 months ago, under the auspices of the previous council, bringing up an issue that annoys me every day, and that's Monroeville Boulevard. From Young's Corner to Pierce's Corner, it's not only a mess, it's an increasingly hazardous mess. It was said last year that there was money in the Allegheny County budget for paving one and only one road, which I really found fantastic. And when I say fantastic, I don't mean as in great, as in a fantasy. And that Monroeville Boulevard was not that road. Also along with that is Stroshine. It's like a little roller coaster ride turning left onto Stroshine toward Route 22 as you go down with the bank on the left and the Miracle Mile on the right. It's a real nuisance. I also noticed some new paint, brand new paint, maybe within the past month, arrows, directional arrows, and it looked to me like a silk purse on a pig's ear. I also noticed other new paint, but as I slowed down, I realized that it wasn't new paint. It was paint from the previous paving that was now exposed because the allegedly new paving from Steen years ago was disappearing. So I think you folks really need to look at that. I know it's an Allegheny County road. We don't maintain it. We may drop the plow for safety reasons when it's snowy, but we really need to get the county to look at that and not just say there is only one pot of money for paving one road in all of Allegheny County in 2014. Now, whether we need to liaison with Councilman Martoni or County Executive Fitzgerald, whatever needs to be done, we need attention on that road. The other thing is, I mean, that's the most important thing is safety, but also, God, it looks like hell. Anybody riding through this town who is not from Monroeville is going to look at that and say, What am I driving on? We talk about bringing new businesses in. New businesses like new roads, or at least roads that are well-maintained. So I would ask you to seriously look at that again, now that you're all on board.
I assure you, Richard, I have been chasing Connie Fitzgerald on that issue, and he promises me that now that the weather's breaking, I'm not sure that they're going to repair but they said they will do what they can
Okay.
to make it safer.
Well, at least a start. And as long as I'm up here, I want to address one other issue.
It is your time, Richard.
Let me first say that I'm pleased that it is you eight up here as opposed to the previous constituency of this body. I look for improvements. I think I've seen some already. And I share with you your umbrage over certain appointments, lame duck midnight hour appointments to various boards, commissions, authorities that were made during the twilight of the previous council. And it kind of seems that you may have taken some action tonight to improve that situation. However, you also know me as a person being a stickler for a process. And maybe I have this wrong. Maybe you collectively, the solicitor, will correct me and show me that my impression is not right. But you passed a resolution tonight which appointed 3 members, new members of the Zoning Hearing Board. This was predicated on your restructuring of the Zoning Hearing Board. Well, the way I look at things is if you newly appoint 3 people, okay, and you didn't continue, my sense is you didn't continue their membership, you reappointed them. There must have been vacancies to be filled, and those vacancies ostensibly were created by the reformation or reconstitution of the Zoning Hearing Board from 5 to 3 people. Now, in my experience with the Old Water Authority over 20 years ago, and my more immediate experience, and some of you will remember this, with the creation of the Finance Authority 2 years ago, the night that that authority was created, this body, as it was constituted then, was going to appoint the 5 members. But I came up and I objected and I said, you can't do that. By virtue of the creation of the Finance Authority, you have created vacancies. And the Home Rule Charter is very specific about the process for filling vacancies once created. So my question is this: how can you justify appointing 3 people to the reconstituted Zoning Hearing Board without the advertising period for new members for vacancies?
Mr. Dice, would you like to address that, please?
I thought we were going to let the public comment. And then
Okay.
That's
No,
my
I
comment
just-
in question.
Remember that?
Stop it, Bruce.
Okay.
No, but we'll address the issue then.
Okay.
Anything else, Rich?
Tonight?
Yes?
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Once again, we'll leave that open for public comment.
I need to sign back in?
Yes, please. Rich, you did sign in, right?
Yes, it
Okay.
My name is Patrick Miney, I'm a Monroe resident. Mr. Mayor, I took your advice, and I reread this letter that you gave me. And the last paragraph on page 2, it's the 4th paragraph from the end, says, with respect to the specifics of complainant's complaint, during its investigation, OCR identified the fact that dispatcher center records were accessible to unauthorized individuals from August 2nd, 2010 to February 7th, 2013. It was during that period that the incident identified by the complainant occurred. OCR also learned that the municipality failed to properly maintain the database of persons identified as first responders to receive dispatch center information during that period. However, the municipality terminated such access by unauthorized persons February 7th, 2013. That was done by Lynette McKinney and Stephen Pasquarella. So there were violations of privacy breaches. They might not have constituted a HIPAA violation, but there were breaches. And the Attorney General also found him. Mr. Harvey stated last Thursday that there was no investigation. There was, in fact, an audit. And they also called that an investigation, Mr. Harvey, and they determined, they audited the 911, automated 911 system, and they determined that there were breaches. They were satisfied with what the municipality did at the time and decided not to issue any fines, or whatever they call it. So there were 2 agencies that have determined that there were privacy breaches. I want to get that out of the way. Was it a HIPAA violation?
I have a response,
No.
go ahead.
Okay.
Not right now, Ron.
No,
I want to clear something up. I left last week early. I don't think it was early. Citizens Night was over, and I did leave, and I left to spend time with my sister. It was her birthday. If I offended any of you for leaving, I do apologize. That wasn't my intention, but Citizens Night was over, and nobody responded to me. There is precedent for that, so I left. I did watch your comments on TV at my dad's house. I'm the resident, and I don't owe any of you anything. I'm not obligated to any of you. However, the opposite is not true. You guys represent the residents, everyone watching at home, and me. I do not appreciate the comments for me to move. I don't appreciate being called a bad apple, a naysayer, because I disagree with the policies of this administration, and I exercise my rights as a citizen to complain about them, as you did last year, and you did, Mrs. Gatos. Nobody called you names. And I didn't agree with what you were doing, but I respected you for coming up and exercising your rights. Now that you're on the other side of the bench, I would appreciate if you would show me the same respect. I'm not up here to cause trouble. The trouble was already started before I started coming here. I'm all about Monroeville too. Believe me, I got a lot better things I could be doing on a Tuesday night than standing here in front of all you. I'm here because I believe in Monroeville, and because my belief in what we should do and yours is not the same, doesn't mean that I'm anti-Monroeville or I'm not for Monroeville. I wouldn't say that about you. I disagree with you, but I wouldn't say that you are anti-Monroeville and what you're doing is wrong. We just disagree. That's it. I don't appreciate that at one bit, and I think it discourages citizens from coming. This chamber should be full, and people should be not sitting here eating popcorn or whatever they were doing that you saw, but they should be here. They should know what's going on. I'm sorry, but there needs to be citizen oversight of our council. It's that simple, so we know what's going on. Unfortunately, because of all the past history of politicians, we can't take your word for it. We have to scrutinize. It is our obligation to scrutinize what you do and call you out if we don't like it. All of you have done that. Now I'm doing it. And I don't have anything personal against, and I don't know any of you. But I will scrutinize if I don't believe in what you're doing. It's that simple. I will call you out, and I will keep coming, and I am not moving. Thank you, sir.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I will open it up to comments from anybody in the audience on any municipal item.
Ralph Greco
Yeah.
from Monroeville.
You already signed in, didn't you, Ralph?
Yeah.
You're fine.
There's one thing I'm having a hard time. The library was able to go out and get a petition with 500 signatures in order to be on a ballot. Okay,
That is correct.
is that right? What's to stop the fire department from doing that, the police department, or any of these other departments?
The fire department certainly would have a right, their volunteer fire departments, if they all decided to do that, they can certainly do that. Police department's a little bit different, but, that would be a councilmatic action on the police department.
I'm just concerned that this is going to mushroom.
Well, there's only certain items under the Borough Code and also the Home Rule Charter that you can solicit counsel and petition for a referendum of that type, and the police department is not one of them. Now, the fire department under the Borough Code, you can certainly do that with a fire department, a library. You can even have a capital tax under the Borough Code, and usually the Borough Code would I mean, if there was something that wasn't mentioned in a home rule charter, and it's in the borough code, I would imagine, that they could do it. But the police department, no.
Because this library is going to end up receiving maybe $1.5 million, somewhere around in there.
The referendum is for $1 million.
Which amounts to how much in dollars?
About 2.3 million, thereabouts.
Which they don't even have to be accountable for, right? They can spend that money any way they want.
Is that a question or a statement?
That's a question.
My opinion on that, if that referendum is successful, they are answerable to the voters.
Okay.
And just like Mr. Mannheim, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, you can go to a library board and you can scrutinize them on that $1 million.
Okay. But they don't really have to be accountable to the borough, how they spend this money.
That $1 million,
Yeah.
it just goes on the tax is a $1 million for the library, and we collect it, but it goes to them. It has to, legally.
And we would have no say as a council how that's spent. That would be,
Right.
and I think Mr. Little made it very clear.
So there's
that
no
the
oversight
residents
on
could-
it.
It's somewhat similar, but not as similar as the autonomy that an authority, like our municipal authority has. I mean, it's not the same, but they definitely would have more autonomy, but not like an authority. An authority can incur debt. The library, they can't float bonds and incur debt.
It's not that I'm against the library or anything. I'm really not. But this is a tremendous amount of money, and there's some people in the Monroeville area are really having a hard time making ends meet. And
Well, Ralph, if this will help you out, this is what, and we've said it here in the past, that it'll be on the referendum in May. You as voters have the right to support it or reject it.
Well,
And it's just that basic.
what the public should know, there's a very low turnout normally on the next election. And that's why they wanted it on the ballot.
I can't answer for any motives, but I can just tell you, it's on the agenda, and again, I think it's been stated very clearly, both by the library folks as well as the council here, that you as residents
I'm
certainly
going to
have that
urge
right.
the residents to go out and vote no for it, because the people involved with the library are going to get as many people as they can out, because it's going to be a low turnout.
That's the democratic system.
Okay. I just want the residents to know, you better get out there and vote,
Thank you, Ralph.
okay? And you said you'd address some of the other things I asked.
Yeah, we're going to address some of those, sure.
Thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I will open it up.
Dan Alexander, resident. Real quick, to kind of clarify things here for everybody. Once this library thing obviously is going to be voted on and that, if it passes, is there anything council can do about it? Okay. There's nothing, council has no say whatsoever in any of this. Okay, then.
It's you, the
then-
residents.
Then I suggest, instead of people coming up here and speaking to you guys, and maybe with the possibility of just getting on TV, instead of speaking to you guys, they go address it with the library board, or they contact Bob Heiss, the one who's trying to organize getting a thing together to combat this and that, and basically just talk to as many people as possible that, like Ralph suggested, just go out and knock on doors and that. Because coming up here, it's great, but council can't do anything about it.
That's
It's not a
fact. Well,
council matter.
just to clarify one thing, going to the library board right now, until the referendum is voted, I mean, that's not going to stop
True, yeah,
what's
that's
going
2
on.
point now. Now you got to hit the voters.
Now it's up
Now
to
you
you,
gotta
the
hit the
voters.
voters, correct.
And that's just,
And that's what needs to be done.
Yes.
Instead of knock on doors, put signs in your yard, whatever you need to do to bring this issue to people who don't watch this on TV and stuff. So,
Would you like to hear how it's going to read on the ballot?
I did how they wanted it or how it's going to
No,
read?
how it's going to be.
Well, you can put it how it's going. I know how they wanted it to be. It was
Now,
like
this
a
was submitted to the
paragraph long.
county, and the county came back and said shall a 1 mil special tax be imposed by the municipality of Monroeville on all taxable real estate in the municipality of Monroeville effective January 1, 2015, and thereafter, the proceeds of which shall be allocated and used only for the maintenance and operation of the Monroeville Public Library. That's going to be the question on that.
Yeah, and what scares me is nobody wants to go against the library, so like, oh, yeah, okay, without thinking what that means. And I think people need to go out and let people know, hey, this is how much it's going to cost you in addition to the tax increase we just had, and, you know, any future, you're going to get this also.
Just so you know, Dan, there's two groups out there working, one to support it, one not.
Exactly.
And that's just, you know, and
And
again,
instead of,
that's,
well, my point was, instead of coming up here and constantly talking to you guys about which you guys cannot do anything about it, go contact those groups and
it's
get
it's up
involved
to
that
you,
way.
the voters.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, anybody else like to address council? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting, and we'll move over to our reports of officials. And Linda, we'll start off with you.
Okay, I wasn't going to say anything about this, but Mr. Moynihan, you brought up a point, and you said that I had called you a bad apple, and that was not at all the case. Here's my typed report that I brought to my meeting to discuss, and I can show it to you personally right now. I appreciate feedback. I was someone sitting out there. I think it's a great thing that we have, the availability. I look forward to having people. I wish this place was filled. I appreciate your comments, your thoughts, what you have to say. I would never call anybody in this borough a name, a bad apple, as far as, I would never direct it at you at all. I think if you would relook at it, I did not mean that to you. I'm just saying in general, people were upset that there's 7-0 votes. Well, there's a lot of people that are very happy about it. When I said bad apple, it's just somebody trying to make problems because it can be done. It was not directed at you, and if you took it that way, I personally apologize to you.
Thank you, I accept that.
Okay. The only thing I really was going to talk about tonight, this is kind of a, I happened to find a golden retriever in my neighborhood today, wandering around. She was a little bit older. She didn't have a collar. She didn't have anything on her. So if anyone has lost her, it's out in the Ramsey area. Please call me, 412-973-1194. She is being taken care of right now. So if you lost your puppy, please call. But no, she's being taken care of, so don't worry. And lastly, I just want to say Happy Easter, Passover to everybody. Please enjoy it with your families, enjoy your times together, and that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Linda. Doc?
Yes. Just briefly, I will address Mr. Moynihan's final comments. I do agree with what he's saying. No resident should be discouraged from speaking at a public meeting. And, council should maintain a positive, professional atmosphere when that's being done. And the hope is that the residents also, maintain a professional atmosphere as far as that goes as well. And the hope is that when residents do speak, that they are not misleading the residents in any way. I'm not suggesting that you are in any way, but in general. But you are correct in your final comments. Yes, you should be allowed to speak your mind and do it in a safe environment. So that being said, moving on to some other ways that residents can get involved with the community. The Monroeville Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit. They try to raise funds and raise money and solicit money for various civic projects in Monroeville, for the parks, for neighborhoods to enhance the municipality. They are looking for new members. It's been around for a little bit, but they are looking for new members. So anyone that's interested in the Monroeville Foundation, maybe getting involved with the municipality, please send a letter of interest or an email to Mr. Little, or maybe contact one of your representatives, and maybe we can see if we can get you on the board. But they're looking for new members, and hopefully they can fill those vacancies. I spoke in the past about the Monroeville Trail Advisory Committee. It is something that I was a member of years ago when Mayor LeMayo was sitting in the mayor's chair, and it seemed to it disbanded over a few years. And recently, there's been some projects that are coming up that I'm hoping to restart that committee. So anyone who's interested in getting involved, we're going to be contacting the previous members of the Monroeville Trail Advisory Committee. But anyone else, please, shoot me an email or the manager or give me a call to get involved. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is looking at different projects, different trails, existing trails that we have in Monroeville to maintain them, clean them up, and look for ways to improve them. There's also, Mr. Estock spoke at one of the meetings, there's a big trail project expanding from Murraysville to Trafford, down near the Turtle Creek Railway at the bottom of Saunders Station Road. It's a major project that's going to be happening here through the Westmoreland County, I guess it's the Department of Recreation. They have received a grant, and they are going to be fixing that up and cleaning that up, and certainly we'd like the Monroeville Trail Advisory Committee to chime in on that and help out where we can, so please consider joining. And we also have an Eagle Scout who I've been helping, along with Mr. Estock's been helping as well, who he is going to be doing some work on the Heritage Park Trail. If you're familiar with the dog park, it loops up around the dog park, and this Eagle Scout has definitely some big ideas for that trail, and with any Eagle Scout project, they are certainly looking for as many hands as they can get. So he's hoping to get started April or even in May, start doing some cleanup and tackle that project. So please, once again, Monroeville Foundation, Monroeville Trail Advisory Committee, any interest, please let us know. And those will be, hopefully, we'll try to get them on the TV15 and the website. Other announcements. The 19th Annual Jack Sedlak Memorial Cleanup Day is Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then there is a picnic afterwards, a lot of great prizes. You can join as a team or an individual and clean up your neighborhood or a park or a street. And I believe registration has been closed, but I'll get in trouble and say you can still register. So call the rec department, 412-856-1006, or certainly just call the main line and get transferred to the recreation department, and please join in. It's a great day out, and it really helps the community. And along with that is Shred-It Day. Happens the same time, Saturday, April 26th, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Monroeville Community Park. That is sponsored by Shred-It and Trib Total Media. You just bring up to 75 pounds of any documents to be shredded, and you just pull up, and there's volunteers that'll pull it out of your trunk. It's a great service. It's free, and they will be accepting donations as well, but it's a great service. So that is Shred-It Day and Cleanup Day, Saturday, April 26th, 2014. Moving on, Monroeville Recreation Department, the Bel Air Pool will be opening soon. Early bird rates are in effect until April 30th, so if you're thinking about joining the Bel Air Pool, now's the time to do it. But please support the pool. They're hoping to have a nice warm summer, and after this winter, I'm sure everybody is hoping for a nice warm summer.
Amen to that.
And we have two events this weekend. The annual Easter egg hunt is this Saturday, April 12th, at the Monroeville Community Park West. It's in the ball fields, and they've been doing this for a few years, and they have it got it down to science now. They actually have it on both ball fields. They're fenced in, so the kids are all contained, cattled, however you want to say it. But they're broken up into age groups, which is good. So 2 to 5-year-olds are in one area, and parents can go in with their 2 and 5-year-olds. And then 6 to 10-year-olds are in another field, and they are to run on their own. Remember to bring your Easter basket. They have treats, snacks, and there will be a special appearance by the Easter Bunny as well. There's no registration, no pre-registration necessary. We're hoping for a good day, but please just show up, Monroeville Community Park. That is this Saturday, April 12th. Activities start at 10 a.m. Very important. And lastly, the annual Doggy Easter egg hunt. Same day, Saturday, April 12th. This happens at Heritage Park, at the dog park, the fenced-in dog park. The event starts at 2 p.m. There actually is a costume contest, which starts at 2:30, so that is for the animals, not for the humans. But you could wear a costume, I guess. But costume contest, 2:30, and then they have an Easter egg hunt for the dogs only. And actually, that's on the flyer, so they must have had a problem before. It says, sorry, Easter egg hunt is only open to dogs. So at any rate, registration is required. Pre-registration, please. The rec department, 412-856-1006. And it's always a fun event. The Easter Bunny will be there as well. And I think this year, I believe Mr. Little is judging the costumes for the dogs. I believe we have him signed up for that. Finally, a very happy Passover and a very happy Easter to those who celebrate, and that's all I have for this evening. Mayor?
Thank you, sir. Ron?
Yes, there was some things that happened over the past couple of meetings, some comments that are made that I'm hoping to get cleared up a little bit to the residents. And, you know, the budget was, and the tax increase was obviously the news of the year, and I don't believe this council was left with any other choice, given that they had to come up with an answer in 2 months. I just wanted to, just a couple of the things off the list of bills, I just wanted to give the residents an idea what it cost us. Last month, just fuel for $50,000. Engineering in Ramsey Road, trying to get that problem straightened, $20,000. An unexpected repair to one of the ladder trucks, $9,000. Dumping at the landfill, $8,000. Advertising in the newspaper, $6,000. Insurance, not counting health care, $76,000. What I read you was just $169,000, and that's just 1 month. And none of this stuff that I know of can be scraped, or, you know, maybe the fuel a little bit, but, and it goes on and on. And we don't have any say over the prices of 3/4 of this stuff. And so I just wanted to send that stuff out there. Residents also seem to be upset with benefits and of the employees, and yes, I was one. I'm retired from there, but that's not the way why I see it this way. But the police, fire, EMS, public works, parks, building inspectors, code enforcement, as soon as the budget, they all love those services, but as soon as the budget goes up, they want the employees, the very ones that they were up here complimenting about the snow removal, to give up their pay or benefits, or even lay them off. I just wanted to remind the residents that these people have worked here, most of them, a very long time. And everything that they have in their current contract, they probably negotiated for. Some of the things they probably even gave other items up for. But we keep picking apart their contracts. And now that money's tight, who cares? Take their benefits or lay them off. I don't always see it that way. Every time in the past, many of you don't know, that the employees were asked to give something up in a budget crisis situation, they helped. I know, I was here. I attended those meetings. This problem is not their fault. It wasn't caused by them, and now everybody's expecting them to fix it. I think you're wrong in thinking that way, and the last administration did it. I do agree that there's some adjustments that there has to be made in health care and contract benefits, but I just want you to know that 99% of the employees were not the cause of this problem. So, I sent out a letter to the residents on Burke and Donley Drive concerning no parking on the street. As my luck would have it, you're not going to believe this, but 53 residents returned my ballot, and it was an exact split. 26 to 26, with one person not caring. It's going to stay like it is for now, unposted, until we figure out another result, because that didn't work out. Only me. I thought it was going to be an overwhelming one way or the other, but 26 to 26. I think we need to make a more aggressive attempt to encourage new business to come to Minerva also. I have, since a long time ago, have looked at the budget's pie chart, the income pie chart. And for most of you that don't know, the businesses are paying the tab. If you look at that income pie chart, they are paying way more of the tab. Not that we don't pay our fair share, we do. But I think it would be nice, I think the residents, I think most people would like to see new businesses come into Monroeville. So we have to encourage them. And I was thinking about an idea that, and I don't know, I'd have to look down the line at all of you, because I'm the new guy on the block here. But I was thinking about offering a new business that came into Monroeville in 2014, property, not zero tax. And in 2015, they would pay 50%, and in 2016, they'd be up to 100%. I don't know if anything like that's possible. You know, it's an idea. that I thought of. Another thing is I'm against the suggestion of a finance committee, or budget committee, as the resident put it. I talked to many of the residents. Some of them bumped into me just while I was out shopping or doing my own personal agenda, and they told me they think it's too much government, it's more government. We're the people that they put in. They want us to be the finance committee because we're the ones that answer to the residents. They're the ones that voted for us. They're not, of all the people I talked to, they're not in favor of any way of appointing a finance committee to work out our financial woes. Everyone compares our taxes to Westmoreland County. I did some research there. They haven't had a reassessment since 1971. So my comment is, I don't know how you compete with that. Last but not least, the Attorney General's letter is wrong. I intend on proving it. I can't do it tonight yet. I'm working on it. Finally, the accusations that the dispatchers were terminated and had the rights to NCIC and clean the state computer removed by the prior chief, thus paving their way to be fired, was wrong. There is support from the state police on its way. I was involved in that investigation because they interviewed me. They called us all in at the end. I will let Doug Cole present that letter when it comes, but I can assure you that was a positive outcome, and the residents certainly need to hear more of that. Another note, I would like to congratulate the officers who served their last shift and retired, which was Sergeant Robert McConnell, Anthony Scalise, Joe Kusha, and Ron Plate. Congratulations to you. I know what you went through. You deserve a good retirement. I hope you have a safe one and a happy one. On the comment that was just recently made here, the fire department's never, ever refused to cooperate with the investigation. I have notes and minutes that our attorney came up to that very podium and offered our assistance. The only thing I ever posted in my fire hall, which a very prominent website posted, was a notice saying to my members, if they are asked to be interviewed, they are to see me first. Why did I put that up? Because the attorney advised me to put it up. So I did. People took pictures of it, put it on the website, and there's no refusal whatsoever. Matter of fact, that investigative firm never asked any of the fire chiefs or myself to be interviewed, ever. They never asked. And it'd be different if they had asked and I'd have refused, but that's not what occurred. They never asked. We were waiting for them, but they didn't. Sorry, guys. We had a meeting recently with Mark Schufo, Adam Finley from Waste Management, Rich Smith, I think it is, from Waste Management, Paul Hugus, Jamie Story, Doug Cole, Bob Smith from the FBI, myself, Tim Little, and Alan Zeal, I think is his name, engineer for Waste Management. And we have federal money to build them a new building at the training site, and that project is moving, I guess. Paul smiles at me because there's different there's different scenarios, and the new head agent in charge is not due here for 3 weeks, so we have to. This agent that was here is kind of like the second in command. He is going to take all the information we provided him back there. We are indeed holding FBI money to build this structure, so we're waiting until he gets here to. Location is an issue at the training academy. Last but not least.
You already said that.
Did I say that once? Sorry.
2 or 3 times. You're doing good, Ron, you're doing good.
You know, we talk about this privacy issue that was supposedly breached down in the radio room. I don't know how many of you, I don't personally go on this Government Watch Facebook channel, but somebody finally had some information off it and copied it and sent it to me, and it upset me a little bit. Most of it I ignore. This one I couldn't. They had copies of the resident in Monroeville of his citations that he received from the police department. Now, if you want to talk about privacy, His date of birth is on there, his operator's number's on there, his name, his address, the charges. It was ridiculous. I can't believe that that was done. Secondly, there was a copy of a list of the dispatch center's page list, which included all the members of the fire companies and EMS service, names and cell phone numbers, how we get calls. A copy of the memo from then Representative Ramsey requesting this list, and then gave it to somebody wrong got it, because they put it on this website. And the point being is that some of the people, a lot of the people on there, paid for unlisted numbers and gave them to the dispatch center so they could be paged for calls. And now they're out there on a public website, not to mention that some of those people on that list were juvenile. And so now the juvenile cell phone's published on a public website. So I tend to say they're worried about privacy. Come on, you have to be real here. I know that most of the firefighters' parents of the young men and women that were juveniles, their phones have since been shut off or changed. But I thought that was so irresponsible, and I wanted to just say that. And
Thank you, Robert. Jim?
Yes, sir. Try to be brief. For those of you who didn't hear me on Thursday, a few of the events that are going on at the Monroeville Convention Center. The Toy and Comic Book Show is Friday, April 11th through the 13th. Iron Mike Productions. This is a pretty big event coming to Monroeville. Mr. Iron Mike Tyson is going to be live with Showtime. Tickets are going to be $35 to $100. It's going to bring a lot of people to Monroeville. I understand. I was at a meeting recently. Most of the hotels around the area are already booked solid. So it's going to do some business for everybody. The International Gem Show is Friday, April 25th through the 27th, and I apologize if I didn't say the date for Iron Mike. It's the 18th of April. The Gun Show is going to be the 26th through the 27th of April, and the Pan Spring Coin Show is going to be May 8th through the 10th. And last is Friday, May 9th, is the Pittsburgh Folk Festival. And with that, I'm done, and happy Easter to everybody.
Thank you, Jim. Paul?
I'll be brief, and just in response to Mr. Monahan, by all means, I encourage you to come up, pick apart everything we're doing, but don't expect to be challenged, to not be challenged by me sitting here. I'd be remiss not talking about this because the people that did voted me in, quote, because I call a spade a spade. And that's what I'll do every time. By all means, you please come up, speak, talk. I think you're inaccurate. I never called you a name. I addressed the fact that you picked my side, your side. There are no sides here. That's what this council's here for, to stop this my side, your side. I don't speak as eloquently as some of my colleagues up here on council, and that's fine. But please be rest assured, I want you to challenge me, but expect to be challenged back.
Say that.
All I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Steve?
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out and have a happy Easter. That's all I have.
Tom?
Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Happy Easter, everyone. There's there's companies out there that drill for oil or mine for gold and so forth. And when they reach the bottom of the pit or into the forest part of the mine, all of a sudden there's nothing more there. So my point is that once you reach the bottom of that pit and there's nothing there, it's time to move on to something else. And I'm basically tired of hearing the same issues come up that are half-truths, and they're not accurate at all. And I encourage everybody to speak. Come up with something positive. I'm tired of listening to all this negative information. You're just trying to make the municipality look bad. We don't need that. We need to have the municipality look like a positive place to live, work, and play. Now for a commercial break.
Go ahead, Tom.
A sure sign that summer is on its way. Garden City Pool's annual spaghetti dinner, Saturday, May 3rd, 2004, from 4:30 to 7:30. Garden City Fire Hall, 600 Garden City Drive. $8 with kids 8 and under. Oh, I'm sorry, $8. With kids 8 and under, only $4. Includes pasta, salad, bread, drink, and dessert. Takeout is available. Each dinner purchase gives you a chance for drawing to win a $100 discount on a pool membership. Swimmers Network will also be there with the swim team suits available for purchase. Thank you, Carrie Pugliano. With that, I'm finished.
Paul, I know you had one more.
I'm sorry, and I
It's
forgot.
okay.
Just real quick, I went to a meeting last night. It was Sustainable Monroeville.
Yes.
I hadn't heard about it, and coincidentally, Manager Little was there, and I didn't know he was going to be there, so that was a nice little surprise. I think they said they meet the first Tuesday of every month. It's in Monroeville Library in the basement. What a passionate group of people they are. A very small group, but I encourage anybody who is, looking at recycling or anything that you can do for the environment. This is a great group. But they are small. But I think that's how good things start, with a small group of passionate people. So I just encourage people, just if you're interested, go and check it out. I was pretty amazed. I just wanted to, I know a lot of people don't know about them, so I just wanted to bring it up real quick so maybe a lot more people could hear about it and go out and check them out. That's all I have.
All right.
For real this time.
And I promise I'll try to be very quick. I just wanted to say thanks to Nick for covering me last Thursday. I'm hearing that you did a wonderful job. To many of the residents that wished me well, as well as council, thank you. I feel good. Obviously, but the one thing I did, and I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this or not, one of the issues that have always said for the years I've sat as mayor, that I never wanted to give up the dispatch center. Well, lo and behold, I've heard the stories when you call the county and you get a busy signal, or you get put on hold, and that happens. Well, guess what? It happened. My wife called 911 because I needed to be taken by ambulance. Thank God, I still had my senses. I said, dial our 412-856-1111. And the good work of our Fire Hall 1, EMS personnel, and our paramedics, thank you. They were there very prompt. Chad, you were certainly one of them. I thank you for what you did and all your crew. So that just reinforces to this mayor, as long as I sit here, I will fight for that dispatch center. I don't believe anybody on this current council wants it to move it on. Yes, is it expensive? But I'll tell you what, when you need it as I did, you better believe it's real good to have it. And that's all I'm going to tell you on that. In regards to what Jimmy mentioned on the convention center with the boxing match coming up on the 18th, I do want to just give you a name. His name is Sam Vasquez. He's a local kid. He currently is living in Monroeville, California rather, but he is a local kid, and his aunt works with my wife. And my understanding is Sammy has potential to be the next champ in his weight division. They said this kid is a powerhouse. There are 7 matches there, and the seats are going quickly. So, as Jim suggested, if you're interested, and I love boxing, I would get online, and that is on Showbox, which is part of Showtime. And just for good news for us, they put us on their website, and there was over 6 million hits just talking about Monroeville and these fights coming up. And they also put some nice comments online as well, how nice Monroeville, as well as myself as mayor and members of council, have been dealing and treating with them. So kudos to everybody up here. Kudos to our convention center. Couple more items. I just do want to say Happy Easter and Passover to all our residents. In regards to the Attorney General report, Mr. Little has been trying to get in contact with him. We are requesting a meeting. To date, I don't believe they have responded. I, as the mayor, will send a letter myself on top of his. In regards to the one issue brought up by the one resident on the one aspect where he ran about the complainant's complaint, if you recall, from that entire time, from August 7th all the way up until whenever former Chief Pascarella retired, he was the one in charge and the only one that could put names on or remove names out of that system. And with that, let me make sure I got everything. Oh, and I better say this too, thank you to my wife for putting up with all my foolishness at the hospital as well, so. And we'll leave it at that, and I'll see, no, Mr. Dice and Mr. Little both have an issue that they would like to bring up. Mr. Dice, we'll go
Yes.
to you first.
First, you heard Mr. LaPiccolo indicate that he believed that there was a process for making appointments to vacancies. And I'm going to exercise a little judicial discretion here and indicate to you that you passed a resolution and filled in the 3 names. I think you filled the 3 names in prematurely to this extent. There is a process in the Home Rule Charter that's described under 1804. That doesn't mean he's always right. It just means he just happens to be right.
Well, Rich always thinks he's right, don't you, Rich?
I'm saying he's right more than 50%, but not much more. There is a process that Mr. Little has given to me, and I should have known about it. It's Section 1804, which sets forth vacancies. Vacancies to boards and commissions shall be subject to publication in the newspaper, advertisement 25 days prior to, and et cetera. There's a process. So I'm going to suggest to you that it's my opinion that from a process standpoint, the appointments that you made, the 3 individuals, are void because there is a process that you have to follow. And I would instruct Mr. Little, unless council decides otherwise, to follow the process under 1804 to fill those 3 vacancies in the proper fashion. Whether those 3 individuals the next time around get the appointments or not, I don't know. But you should follow the process under the Home Rule Charter, which requires advertising, nomination, and appointment.
Do you need us to make a motion on that?
No, remember, I've done this once before with the mayor's vetoes.
Rich was right.
He was more right about this than he should have been.
Well, Mr. Dice, two things I have. Since those appointments were non-void, could they not still nominate them this evening?
No, it says you have.
Because you have to advertise
It
first.
says you have to advertise.
And then the second thing is,
Now,
well, I just want
so
to
you
get that
know,
clear.
Just so you know, nowhere else in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania do you have to go through this torturous process except in Monroeville because of the Home Rule Charter. Nowhere. You know, if this was some other community, you would just fill the vacancy. But in Monroeville, you've got to go through a nomination and an appointment. And that's what it says, and that's what we should do. So my suggestion is that you begin the process through your manager. He can go ahead and advertise. And I don't think he needs a motion to do that. Just do it, Tim. And we'll follow the process to its end where there's ultimately appointments made to those 3.
But then, since there are agendas in the April, we should also
They-
have
they
the
should be
manager.
postponed.
Should be postponed.
Right.
That is correct, okay. Anything else, Mr. Dice?
I was going to suggest one thing, since we do have a May 7th zoning hearing board meeting, that the advertisement goes into the paper.
You mean
and-
advertisement?
Advertisement goes into the paper, and that's up to council. If council wanted to schedule a special meeting at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or just to appoint, or 6 o'clock.
There's 2 steps. It's nomination and then
The
25 more
nomination and
days.
appointment, okay. All right, the nomination. So then, the people that are for the May 7th zoning hearing board, that's saying that's going to have to be postponed.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay.
And then, anything else on that, Mr. Dice?
That's plenty.
Okay. Mr. Little, do you answer as?
Yeah, Mr. Greco's question about public safety. First of all, public safety is number 1. Without public safety, you have nothing. Without safety, you have nothing. And we have 46 officers budgeted for the 2014 budget. It was one of the first things I addressed with Chief Cool back in January when I was reviewing over the budget. So we put in for 46 officers, and with those retirements, they are going to be replaced before June 1st. Okay, so we already have gone through the civil service testing, and those officers will be replaced by June 1st.
And there's a total of 5, Ralph, that'll be hired. Okay?
We're not going to get back up to the 49.
No,
That was not budgeted for this year.
no.
We'll be back
With
to
that-
46, though. correct?
Yes,
Right.
we're back to 46, yes. With that, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.